Hi. For those people who don't know me, my name is David. I'm 38 in November, so you can do the maths when I went to university and all of that. I just wanted to take a few minutes just to talk about, well, almost to apologise to the world, essentially. When I was younger, I was considered myself to be an activist. I'd go on slut marches. I didn't eat Cadbury's for about 10 years. Not using Amazon was a hard one for me to do because of tax reasons and everything along those sorts of lines. But one thing that we were doing that was... Hi, my name's David. I'm 38 in November. But you can do the maths of when I went to high school and university. But during those years, I was a little bit of an activist. Wasn't into it as much as some of the people around me were. But essentially, I just wanted to apologise to everyone now. So essentially, what we were teaching and things I was involved with, so we went on some slut walks, because back then, believe it or not, it was a serious debate about whether if you dressed in a certain way, whether you deserved to be raped, and some people were actually arguing about that. We boycotted Cadbury's, that was a big one. So exploitation companies were doing of other countries. Not using Amazon was a hard one because of the taxation there was, and also I'm a socialist. So yeah, that was hard. By the way, not a communist, a socialist. But one of the things that we were tackling at the time was the idea of loving yourself. So we had these constructs of what society said a man should be and what a woman should be. If you were assertive, that was a male trait. If you were loving and nurturing, then that was a female trait. And we were basically trying to preach that you could be whatever you wanted to be. If you wanted to be a very emotional man, that was fine. There was no such thing as female gender sort of stuff around that. It was just all about who you were, essentially. I mean, to give you a good example, 7 of my first 8 managers were female. So that sort of boss figure in your early sort of teen years, I'm very much associated with being female on there. So that was the plan, that was the idea, that you had all these personal characteristics, and what that all leveled up to was that it was you. Be happy being you. It doesn't matter what society says you should be. Life is short. Be happy the way you are. If you wanted to get a boob job, then that's fine. You know, you got to be happy. You got to get that most out of the short time that you have on Earth. But it generally has changed a lot over the years. There's a lot of people who are saying you can be whatever you want to be now, but the core part they're missing is this. What we were preaching was individualism. It was how I see the world. This is how I see the world. This is how I label things. This is how I get through life, and that's fine with it. You don't push my ideas onto other people, and that's where we come down to the cracking point. It's this belief that there's a centralized idea about what life is, what your role in life is, the way you should act, the way you should behave, and it's going out of control at the moment. If you don't want to be associated with something, you shouldn't have to be. That's your freedom, that's your personal choice. And unfortunately, it goes both ways. Take someone like Brett Cooper. Do I agree with everything that Brett Cooper says? No, of course I don't. I've just told you I'm a socialist. But do I hate her for her views? No, not really. That's how she sees life. If that's what makes her happy with everything, then that's the way it should be. And that's where things become really hard. Like, another example is a couple of gay friends got married. Their parents didn't go to their first wedding because it was a church wedding, and they were highly religious, and they didn't think that it belonged in the church. When I've talked to them, they've never badmouthed their parents, because they went to the second wedding, the all-inclusive one, because the first one was overseas as well. They had another wedding in the UK, and the parents went to it, and they're happy for them to be together. They're happy that their son is happy with it, but they just didn't want that to be religion. As far as they saw it, their religion says that it's not right to do it, so they didn't want that to take over that part, but they were still happy for it. Do I judge these people? No, not really. Just how they see life, that's how they want to live their life. If a bakery doesn't want to serve someone who does with a gay cake, that's the same as someone who doesn't want to do a cake that celebrates BNP. It's essentially the same thing, and I have the same right not to use that company. So I'm sorry to everyone out there. We started getting this ball rolling about individualism, but unfortunately I think a bit of main character syndrome sort of kicked in. Did I change the world with the way that we behaved and what we were preaching at the time? No, but we weren't trying to. Essentially the belief was if you changed your own back garden and looked after that, then everyone made their own little garden prettier, and the whole world itself would be prettier on there. So just calm down, everyone. Just calm down. If you're trans and you change your gender through surgery, that's fine. You can do that. You're not a hero for doing it. I'm not going to teach my kids that that's the way to go, but if that is what you have to do to be happy, then you go for it. I teach the younger people that they are them, and who they are is just that. It's fine. They don't need to change anything else about them. Just love who you are. If you're feeling really masculine and you're born with the way you are born, then that's fine. You're just a masculine woman. I mean, you can call yourself a woman if you want to call yourself a woman. You can't go around insisting that everyone else does the same thing with it. I've worked in sales a lot in my life. It's been a very sort of macho environment that I've worked in. I've never got to pick nicknames or anything like that. I've been called Big, Uncle, Davey, Clarky, through that. I've also been called Big Gay Dave, and I didn't care. Just what the people around me wanted to call me, and it didn't affect me. It wasn't my way of thinking. It was just the way that they saw things with it. If someone does say something and you do have to be with them a while, then personally, I don't see the problem with just calling people what they want to be called. If something is too far, then you do have to bring that back. I enjoy what we call in the UK, I think, bant comedy. So being a bit mean to our friends. The thing is that if I say something that's a little bit over the line, then that's fine. If you come to me and you say, oh, David, you joked about my mum. My mum died of cancer when I was younger. I find it quite a bit of a sore spot. Then I'm imaginative to take the piss out of it for something else in your life. I don't have to keep going on about that central thing. So, sorry to both sides of modern day debates, but centralizing everything is not great with it. The government are pretty useless, even here in the UK and America, and keep asking them to get involved and to sort this thing out, to legislate this. It just isn't the way to go. If a company doesn't want to serve people of a certain colour of skin, then they have the right to do that. I hope as a society everyone would go, I don't want to be associated with that because I don't agree with their benefits, and capitalism would force them out of business anyway. Then that's fine. All the legislation that's coming in, all this forcing people's hands, it's not a great thing to do. I was very pro in the trans movement, but there are a couple of things I think that you do need to accept. First being, sports is not a simple issue as it wants to make out to be. On there, there's different classes of sports, and they exist for different reasons. In the same way that I wouldn't go and play a kids' football game. I used to coach some kids' rugby. I wouldn't tackle them in the same way that I was tackling other people because it would be ridiculous, essentially, in that. I'm also 6'3", and I have to accept that if I'm with a female or even smaller men, in a situation where they're feeling vulnerable, somewhere like a changing room, that they probably are going to be scared for forming against me, because I could probably overpower 90% of people, essentially, just because most people don't work out. So just my natural height, my natural weight would just give me that natural advantage on there. I'm a big loving bear, so I wouldn't do anything to purposely harm people, but there has to be the acceptance that that is a possibility there. So sorry everyone, individualism was a great idea, and I'm sorry that people are trying to force their own ideas upon everyone else and make them think the same way to there. But anyway, ciao.